Imagine waking up one morning, unlocking your phone, and seeing every news outlet and social media platform flooded with the same headline: Jesus Christ has been seen walking among humanity. What would you do? Would you believe, doubt, or tremble in fear? The world today is vastly different from 2,000 years ago. If Jesus were to truly return, he would no longer walk dusty roads between villages in ancient Judea, but step into an era of technology, the internet, artificial intelligence, and global crises. So let's pause and wonder, if this happened right now, what would be humanity's very first reaction? Within minutes, his image would spread across the globe. No miracle would even be necessary at the start, just his presence. His gaze, or a single spoken word, would already captivate billions. News channels would break into emergency broadcasts. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube all would erupt with endless clips capturing his every move. But amid this ocean of content, who would be able to distinguish truth from illusion? Would his face be dismissed as a clever deepfake? Would skeptics claim it was nothing more than a staged hoax? From the very first moment, the world would be caught between awe and suspicion. The irony of our age, that while technology can amplify his message to reach every corner of the earth, it also fuels unprecedented doubt. 2,000 years ago, miracles healing the blind, raising the lame, multiplying bread and fish were enough to stir entire nations. Today, many would dismiss them as CGI effects, sleight of hand, or advanced science. The deeper question is, do we, as modern humanity, still have the openness of heart to recognize the sacred reality that transcends logic and data? If Jesus appeared today, where would he choose to reveal himself first? Would it be a war-torn region, to bring peace where hatred reigns, a crowded hospital, to heal the sick and comfort the broken? Or perhaps a dazzling metropolis, surrounded by skyscrapers and neon screens, to awaken those who are drowning in materialism and distraction? Now imagine his first words. This time, they wouldn't be preserved on fragile scrolls or whispered from disciple to disciple. They would be live-streamed to billions in seconds. His image would not be confined to one culture or land. It would go viral, instantly global, piercing through borders and ideologies. The world could not look away, because every person, from the most powerful leader to the most ordinary soul, would have to confront the same question: do I believe, or do I turn away? Yet his return would not unite everyone. It would divide. Some would fall to their knees in worship, embracing him as the long-awaited savior. Others would scoff, insisting it was nothing more than superstition in an age of science. And powerful institutions might feel threatened, for his presence could shatter political systems, economic empires, and the balance of power that the world has carefully constructed. The vision of Jesus returning today is not just a religious thought experiment. It is a test for all humanity, a test of faith, a test of morality, and a test of freedom in the information age. The real question is not merely will he return, but rather, if he does, are we ready to welcome him, or will we reject him once again? If in part 1 we imagined the very first moments of Christ's return, now let us go further. How would the world truly react once this event became undeniable? In the age of social media, no information remains hidden for long. The appearance of Jesus would not be a secret shared by a handful of followers, as it was 2,000 years ago. It would instantly be a global phenomenon. And because of this, humanity's reactions would be more complex than ever before. Some people would immediately fall to their knees in worship. For them, this is the long-awaited fulfillment of prophecy. The hope of generations come true before their eyes. Tears of joy would flow, prayers would rise, and social media would be flooded with comments like, "The Savior has returned," or "This is the proof we have been waiting for." But others would react in the opposite way. To them, this is nothing more than a grand illusion, an elaborate show made possible by artificial intelligence, advanced visual effects, or deepfake technology. They would argue that no scientific evidence supports such an appearance, mocking anyone who dared to believe. On Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook, countless posts would dismiss it. Come on, who still believes in this stuff today? And yet, the implications would go far beyond public opinion. The presence of Jesus would strike at the very core of modern society: politics, economics, and religion. Governments would call emergency meetings. After all, here is a figure capable of influencing billions, not with armies or wealth, but with words. Leaders would be forced to ask themselves, should we cooperate, or should we contain him? Meanwhile, the scientific community would launch into action. If Jesus performed a miracle before the cameras, healing the terminally ill, or transforming matter in plain sight, researchers would dissect every frame, every piece of data. Some would conclude it was a supernatural phenomenon beyond explanation, while others would insist it was a clever trick waiting to be exposed. Religious communities would also face their greatest test. For some churches, his arrival would be the ultimate confirmation of faith. Yet, for others, it could threaten long-held doctrines or structures of authority. After centuries of building institutions and traditions, how would they respond to the living presence of the one they claimed to follow? And yet, amid all this chaos, one truth would remain: Jesus would not return seeking political power, wealth, or domination. He would come, just as he did before, to preach love, forgiveness, and the transformation of the human heart. And paradoxically, it is this simplicity that would confuse the modern world. In a society where power is measured in money, technology, or military might, would humanity be ready to accept a message that demands not conquest, but change within ourselves? So picture this, right now. As you sit watching this video, a live stream begins. Jesus stands in the middle of a crowded square, speaking words of truth and love, calling humanity to turn back to God. What would you do? Would you believe, doubt, or simply scroll past? And this is the question I want to ask you directly. If Jesus were to appear today, would you welcome him or would you reject him once again? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you think this topic is worth reflecting on, don't forget to hit like so more people can join this conversation. If Jesus were to return today, the world would not simply face a religious event, but a profound test for the faith of every individual. In the information age where truth and falsehood blend so easily, recognizing what is light and what is darkness has never been more difficult. His appearance would expose the human heart, those who truly long for truth, and those who cling only to what feels safe and familiar. Many would likely ask, if it is really him, why doesn't he prove it with undeniable miracles that no one could deny? Yet this question is not new. 2,000 years ago, people also demanded signs, but Jesus replied that the true miracle is not in spectacles, but in the conversion of the heart. If he were to return today, it is very possible he would not cater to humanity's craving for power or grandeur, but instead quietly invite, whoever has ears, let them hear. Perhaps the greatest danger would not be outright rejection, but indifference. Modern society is flooded daily with shocking headlines: wars, pandemics, climate crises, breakthrough technologies. In the sea of noise, would the appearance of Jesus be dismissed as just another viral story, startling for a moment, then quickly forgotten? Maybe his biggest challenge would not be the skeptics, but the millions who simply scroll past, unmoved and untouched. Yet for those willing to open their hearts, his return would be a life-altering shockwave. Picture someone drowning in despair, convinced there is no way out, suddenly seeing him appear and hearing words of comfort. Do not be afraid. I am with you. That one sentence could reignite hope. resurrecting a soul that thought it was dead. This, perhaps, is the greatest miracle of all, the transformation of the heart from within. And that transformation would ripple outward, beyond the individual, reshaping communities and even nations. Imagine families torn apart by conflict finding reconciliation. Imagine social divisions beginning to heal as people choose compassion over hatred. Imagine world leaders daring to set aside pride and ambition, listening instead to the call of love and justice. The ripple effect of his message, if embraced, could reshape history itself. But such change comes with a cost. Each person would be faced with a difficult choice: to cling to ego, comfort, and self-interest, or to step onto the path of surrender, humility, and courage. This is where his presence becomes a mirror to the soul. He would not force anyone, yet his very existence would leave no room for neutrality. You either choose to believe, or you choose to turn away. Perhaps you are wondering right now, if I were living in that moment, would I have the courage to follow him? That is the very question each of us must answer, not with words, but with how we live today. And so, I want to ask you, the one watching this video, if Jesus were to knock on the door of your heart right now, would you open it? Or would you keep it closed? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Who knows, your answer today could be the very first step toward transforming your life. If Jesus were to return today, humanity could no longer hide from the truth. He would not come to transform the world through weapons or political power, but through the presence of unconditional love. And that love would confront us with one unavoidable question: will you follow him? Or will you turn away once again? For over 2,000 years, history has shown countless moments when people rejected him, because his message was too different from what the world desired. The world longed for power, but he offered humility. The world demanded glory, but he embraced the cross. The world sought revenge, but he gave forgiveness. And so, if he were to appear today, that same conflict would rise again. Love against selfishness, truth against deception, light against darkness. Yet the story does not end there. For in the midst of doubt and division, there will always be those who open their hearts, who dare to believe, who dare to be transformed, and who choose to walk in his way. These are the ones who would become the seeds of a new world, not a world built on ambition and hatred, but one rooted in love and unity. And you, listening to these words right now, are part of that story. You are not just a spectator watching from the outside. You stand at the very center of the question: if he appeared, what would I do? How would I live? The answer does not lie in some distant future. It begins today. In the small choices you make. Will you choose love over indifference, forgiveness over bitterness, truth over falsehood? Perhaps we cannot know the day or the hour of Christ's return, but one thing is certain: he is already knocking at the door of your heart through the people you meet, the events you face, the opportunities you have to show compassion, and he is waiting for your answer. So instead of only wondering about someday, begin living as if he were already here. Let your life be the testimony that if Jesus came back, you would not turn away, you would run to him with an open heart. If this message has touched you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to continue reflecting on stories and questions like this, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Not only does it support the channel, but it is also your way of saying that you want to walk on this journey of truth and love.